It was an absolutely crazy weekend in college football, maybe one of the best weekends we've had all season. There were upsets, blowouts, and Mormons versus Mullets. Today, I'm going to be talking about my 4 biggest takeaways from week 14 of the college football season. Before we get to today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video. 85% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. Easily the biggest takeaway of the weekend was the BYU Coastal Carolina game. Last week, I posted a video talking about the incredible rise of Coastal Carolina and how they've turned themselves into one of the most exciting teams in the country. A day after posting that video, we found out the Chanticleers and the BYU Cougars were scheduling a game for that weekend. After hearing the news, I posted a video where I talked about the matchup and how it had a chance to be the game of the year. Well, safe to say, it lived up to the hype. Coastal Carolina took down BYU thanks to a crazy last-second defensive stop to prevent BYU from winning the game. I really don't know where to start with this game, but I assume most of you all watched it, so no need to really go into the play-by-play of what happened during the game. My biggest takeaway, though, is the fact that Coastal Carolina is a legitimate team. I'm sold. I'm sold that they're easily one of the top 15 teams in the country, and I think they deserve to be ranked in the top 10 for tomorrow's playoff rankings. Now, I know they won't be, but I think they should. They've been great all season. They have wins against 2 ranked teams with BYU and Louisiana, and they have a quality win over App State. Grayson McCall is a legit quarterback, and he's one to really keep an eye on in the coming years. The dude is only a freshman, but he looked like a veteran quarterback out there and seemed like the moment wasn't too big for him at all. Now, switching to the other side, I was disappointed in Zach Wilson. He still gave BYU a good chance to win that game, but I was expecting a bigger day from him. I know Coastal has a really good defense, and that was evident on Saturday night, but man, I was just really disappointed in his game overall. I had him at number 3 on my Heisman ballot last week, and I was hoping that with this performance, he could have solidified his case as being a Heisman finalist. I talked about this in my other video, but it really was a shame that one of these teams had to lose. They both had great years so far, and it really sucked that someone had to come out on the losing end. Overall, I was surprised with how even the game looked. Now, I'll be honest, I was expecting BYU to win by at least a touchdown or 2, but Coastal, they came ready to play. It was just an old-fashioned game featuring 2 really evenly matched teams. I do wonder, though, how this game would have turned out given different circumstances. Now, I'm not saying that this had any impact on the game, but you do have to remember, BYU did have to travel over 2,000 miles on extremely short notice to get ready for this game. Aside from the traveling aspect, I think Coastal was in the same situation because after the cancellation of the Liberty game, they had to completely prepare for a new team. So major props to both of these teams for even making this game happen. I know because this season is different and unique, this was able to happen, whereas this pretty much wouldn't have been unlikely any other year, but I think college football really needs to consider having a week or 2 open during the season where games like this can happen. I understand why teams schedule games so far in advance, but this is a game we wouldn't have had any other year. Think about all the incredible games and matchup we miss out on every single season, just like this one. I don't know how it could happen, but again, having 2 teams like this schedule a game against each other mid-season was freaking awesome, and I would love for this to be a thing moving forward in college football. The only question I have is there a way that Cincinnati and Coastal Carolina can somehow schedule a game? It's clear that these are the 2 best group of 5 teams in the country, and I think having them face each other would draw huge TV ratings. Plus, it's a game we would all like to see. Again, I know that what happened this weekend is something we'll likely not see for some time, but man, how awesome would it be if every year we get some random matchups like this featuring some really good teams? College football as a whole would be so much better. I know a lot of people, probably mainly BYU fans, had a problem with how chippy the game was, but I absolutely loved it. That's what seems to be missing in college football nowadays, hatred on the field towards another team. All week, Coastal had to hear constantly about how they were a 10-point underdog and how BYU was likely going to come in and win this game, and that clearly pissed them off. As long as you're not taking any cheap shots or anything, I'm fair game. I know people were upset about the Zach Wilson thing at the end of the half, and I totally see it, but I just love seeing some old-fashioned football like this where you could clearly see that both these teams didn't like each other. I love the fact that this game is now being deemed the Mormons versus Mullets. It's exactly like Catholics versus convicts from a few decades ago. Now, I heard that there were a few rumors that a rematch is currently in the works, and that would be awesome if true. I would love nothing more than to see these 2 teams play in a packed stadium in Provo, or even again in South Carolina. It sure would be awesome to have a new rivalry featuring 2 teams who truly hate each other. Overall, I thought it was an amazing game. It was amazing for college football, and I'm so grateful that we were able to make this game happen. Well done, Coastal Carolina, and well done, BYU. Before I get to my other takeaways, I would really appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It helps the video reach more college football fans, and it only takes a second to do. After losing Michael Penix Jr. to a season-ending injury, many people wrote off this Hoosiers team, and that was a mistake as they proved they're not going away anytime soon. They were 14-point underdogs on the road at Wisconsin this weekend. They defeated the Badgers 14-6. First off, that 14-point spread was straight up disrespectful. Vegas's disrespect though was my gain, as I made some very nice money this weekend betting on Indiana plus the 14 points. The main concern with Indiana was quarterback Jack Tuttle, who was making his first career start for the Hoosiers in place of the injured Penix Jr., who was out the rest of the season with an ACL injury. It didn't look like his first start though, as he was great for Indiana. He threw for 130 yards with 2 touchdowns against a pretty good Badgers defense. I know Tuttle was a pretty highly touted quarterback coming out of high school, so it looks like Indiana's going to be in pretty good hands with him. Indiana's defense showed yet again that they are one of the best defenses in the entire country. They held the Badgers to only 6 points and didn't allow them to score a touchdown. If you take out the Ohio State game, Indiana has now allowed a total of 17 points over their last 3 victories. Oh, and Tom Allen is still the most likable coach in America. If you're a recruit, how do you not want to play for this man?
Recruits, come play for this man, best coach in America.
Yeah, I just love this football team.
Hey,
Yeah, baby.
right here, best coach in the nation right here, man. Let's go. Let's go, coach right here. Let's go, Dallas. Love you, coach.
The team.
Man, it's a special group. It's a special group. Doing special things together.
This team is based on LEO. Love each other.
Yeah.
This is love like I haven't seen, Coach.
Now, I get it. It was a pretty bad LSU team they faced, but my God, does Alabama look unbeatable. They've won their last 5 games by at least 4 scores, and likely could have beaten the Tigers by at least 50 points if they really wanted to. Bama had 45 at the half, but really took their foot off the gas and had only 10 points in the second half. This is by far the best offense in college football, and it just seems really unlikely that there's any defense out there that can stop them. Mac Jones looked great again, and has been arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. Devontae Smith, well, he had his sliders set to rookie mode, as he caught 8 passes for 230 yards with 3 touchdowns. On this season, he has 80 catches, 1,300 yards, and 15 touchdowns. Oh, and he's done this in only 9 games. If this was a full college football season where Bama would have a 15-game schedule, he'd have 6 more games left. He easily could have finished the season with 120 plus catches, over 2,000 receiving yards, and more than 20 touchdowns. I think it's time we start putting his name in the Heisman discussion. Oh, not to mention Najee Harris being probably the best running back in the country too. He rushed for 150 yards and had 3 rushing touchdowns, and is having an unforgettable season as well. As of right now, my guess is that it's going to be Clemson and Alabama in the title game, and all I have to say is, good luck Clemson, good luck trying to stop this offense. Finally, the top teams, they did what they needed to do this weekend. Although it looked close for the first half, Clemson really settled down in the second and beat Virginia Tech by 35. They outscored them 28-0 in the second half, and they looked like one of the best teams in the country again. Ohio State, they did what they needed to do, especially considering that this could have been their last regular season game, depending on what happens in Michigan this week. They won by 40, and they looked dominant doing so. I thought Iowa State might have been on upset watch this weekend against West Virginia, and yeah, I was definitely wrong on that one. They beat the Mountaineers by nearly 40 points. Speaking of winning by 40 points, Miami beat Duke by 48. Not too bad, Hurricanes. Also, really quickly, can we briefly just mention how insanely underrated Miami has been this year? They're a top 10 team, their one loss is to Clemson, and D'Eriq King has been great for them. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like we never really hear about them, especially considering how good of a season they're having. But that's just me. Oh, and since all the Texas A&M fans get mad at me every week for talking bad about their precious team, I made sure to save the Aggies for last. Texas A&M? They looked bad against a pretty bad Auburn team this weekend. Now, I get they won by 11 points, but they did trail in the fourth quarter. Had the Tigers actually held on to that Kellen Mond pass and not tipped it right into the arms of A&M and got the interception, we're looking at Auburn potentially pulling off the upset. Now, I watched the whole game, so before you A&M fans get mad at me for just looking at the box score, the eye test told me that A&M is going to lose by at least 30 points to Alabama in the rematch if A&M somehow miraculously is the 4th playoff team in. So, there's your Texas A&M talk for the week. But those are my 4 takeaways from this past weekend. Drop a comment down below sharing your biggest takeaway in case there wasn't something I mentioned. What were your thoughts on the takeaways I discussed? Make sure you drop a comment down below. Like I mentioned earlier, don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you love college football content, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss another video. Also, if you could take a second and give this video a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.